Hey everybody, welcome back to another WV Guns and Goats video. Now there's certain firearms out there that have a following because they just aren't really available here in the US. Or if they have been available, they've been really expensive before. However, I've got a gun that I have always wanted since I was younger, saw it in movies and video games, and I always thought in photos it looks super futuristic, and you may have thought the same as well. That gun is the G36, or more specifically, a G36 clone. This is the SG36 from S5 Tactical. Not 22LR, not airsoft. This is a 5.56 using all USA made parts, USA made receiver. In fact, these are some of the same parts that previous US companies have used to build these firearms. And we're going to take a closer look at all its features in this video. However, the weather outside has been pretty nasty. We have not gotten to get out to the range with this gun. However, that's going to work out for you guys because you'll be able to come along to the range with us when we take this out for a 200 round break-in, and then we're going to put some more rounds over that initial 200, and we'll see how it runs, having only been test fired at the factory. So I'm going to go ahead and get this into a tripod so we can take a closer look at all of its features. If you're not familiar with the G36 or the SG36, hopefully this video makes you familiar with it. But while I get the tripod out and everything, how about you go ahead and headbutt that subscribe button to join the herd here at WV Guns and Goats. So if you're not familiar with the G36 at all, the basics are 5.56 or 223, short stroke, gas piston operated. It's basically an AR-18 style operating system on the inside of this mostly polymer gun. And some people say that's a good thing. Some people say that's a bad thing. I will tell you that this gun says it weighs over 6.5 pounds online. It doesn't feel like it weighs over 6.5 pounds. It feels very light. Now this model right here is the pistol version. It comes with a 12.5 inch barrel and no buttstock. That's how I bought it from S5 Tactical. I was going back and forth because they have the pistol version. They also have a rifle version that comes with a buttstock and a 16-inch barrel on it. However, if you have a G36 parts kit, they'll also sell you a receiver that they make so you can build your own G36. Now, I did file the stamp on this. It took 48 hours to come back, and it actually took less time to come back than it did for the company I bought the stock and the pin from to ship them out. And that HK tax that people talk about, they aren't lying. This pin right here, it's like a 3-inch roll pin. It cost me 40 bucks, 3/4 of the price of the stock. So that HK tax on small parts is real. But if you do get the rifle version of this gun from S5, you're going to have some extra barrels sticking out here because they ship both variants of the gun with the K length handguards. There's 3 different sizes of G36, the G36, the K, which is what this is, and the C, which is even smaller. But this comes with the K-sized handguard on both the rifle and the pistol. Now, because this is an HK design and mostly held together with push pins, it's very easy to change this handguard out. There's one pin right here you can take out. And when you have the gun taken down for cleaning, if you have a buttstock on it, there's 4 holes right here for the 4 different roll pin or push pins. Go right in here so you don't lose them. At the front here though, we have a flash hider. That is a 4-prong flash hider, and it has a little bit of a tuning fork effect. Let's see if we can hear it here on the mic. Don't know if you could hear it, but you can hear it ring in person. I've heard some people say they can hear it ring while they're shooting, and it's 1/2 by 28 threads underneath this flash hider. If you're going to suppress this, I'd suggest a flow-through suppressor just because of the non-adjustable gas system. It's going to be easier on the gas system on this gun. Now, what I didn't mention was when it comes to handguards on here, there's really not a lot of options if you like to add things to your gun. However, the factory handguards from S5 have these 2 bosses on it to allow you to attach a Picatinny rail at 3, 6, and 9. So you then can add parts or lights, lasers, whatever you want to add to those rails, you can then add them on. Speaking of rails, we got a rail on top for optics. And the G36 has the super iconic raised optics rail right here. Now this comes with the iron sights, even though they're made out of polymer. They are adjustable back here for windage and elevation, and it has a flip aperture. I'll put the yards that these apertures are designed for on the bottom of the screen. Now a lot of people, when they think of the G36, they think of the super iconic dual optic that sits kind of high off the gun and it has a carry handle that goes down here and attaches up front. However, that optic, while it was cool in the 90s, has aged really poorly. The magnified portion of the optic has basically no eye relief to it. I think that's why it has a little rubber bumper on the back of it. You basically have to put your eye up against the optic. And the red dot on top of it, well, it's dim and it's like looking through a straw. But it was cool at the time, still looks super cool, and still stands out on a G36. If you want it, go for it. But you'll see a lot of photos online of German military using EOTechs mounted to the optics rail here. And that's probably a better optic for this gun. Now, speaking of that charging handle right there, it's ambidextrous. It flips right, flips left, and then it returns to center. In fact, it seems like when HS Product designed the VHS, they basically took a G36 and bullpupped it because they stole that charging handle design from the G36 to add to the VHS, or the Springfield Hellion as it's known in the US. Now when our bolt's locked back, how do we get our bolt forwards? Right here inside the trigger guard is a bolt release. Just like that. It's almost like a Magpul bad lever, or kind of like the Beretta ARX, where it's actually up front here. On the G36, well, it's located right there inside the trigger guard. On the right side of the gun, we have an ejection port, and this brass deflector actually has a little hook on it. That's for the buttstock here to latch it when it's open to the right side of the gun. On the bottom here is our mag release. In HK fashion, it's a paddle style mag release. Well, there we go. When the bolt's forwards, it takes some force to get a magazine up into the gun. When the bolt is locked back, well, it's very easy to insert the magazine, and it locks in there very firmly. In true G36 fashion, this takes G36 magazines. This does not take AR-15 magazines. However, while G36 HK mags are pretty expensive, these Magpul mags are available for under $30 a piece. And you can change this magwell out to a Stanag or AR-15 compatible magwell. We'll hit that bolt release again, and we'll take a look at the safety. It has a paddle on both sides, so it's ambidextrous as well. Up is safe, down is fire. Now we know the gun is completely unloaded. The trigger on this gun is a large trigger. However, it feels pretty good for a military trigger. It doesn't have a lot of take-up, going right just this far back to the wall. And then it has a break to it. It's got a little bit of mush in the break, and it's still crisp at the same time. So it's about like a standard AR-15 military trigger, but it's nowhere near some of the triggers that you can get aftermarket for the AR-15. This does use its own fire control group, so it's not compatible with AR-15 fire control groups. However, there is a company who is making a grip housing that will allow you to use AR-15 fire control groups in the G36. Coming back to the stock, it folds open to the right side of the gun only. It only goes to the right side, doesn't go to the left side. And if this tripod was out of the way, it would latch on top of the brass deflector right here, and it latches fairly firmly. Takes a good bit of force to pull it around off that latch and lock it into position. Here's the button to activate the latch on the left side of the gun, and it's a very firm button there. Everything locks up firm and tight on this gun when it comes to folding stocks. I know sometimes folding stocks can feel a bit wobbly or loose, but this G36 stock does not feel wobbly or loose at all. When the stock is folded around there is a push pin right here, and you push that through, and then you can push a button on top of the bolt buffer right here, and it allows you to pull the bolt buffer assembly out of the rear of the firearm. So that's how you take it apart for field stripping. Push that back in, and then push this push pin right here back through, and the gun is pretty much back together. So very easy to service the G36 for a field cleaning. So everybody, I hope that gave you more information about the SG36. Maybe you didn't know that there were now affordable G36 clones on the market in 5.56. Maybe you saw the 22 LR HK one that's out there and wished it was in 5.56. Well, here you go right there. The company name is S5 Tactical, and you can find them online under that name. So if you made it this far to the end of the video, I really appreciate you watching today, and stay tuned for that range video where we take this out and put a couple 100 rounds through it. As always, this has been another WV Guns and Goats video, everybody. If you're not out there having fun shooting, well, what are you doing?